Welcome, welcome. Good morning, everybody. All right, let's do this. Very interesting stuff for today. We are finally going to learn how to get, it's a nice letter. It's between A and Z, and the nice letter we want to find is this letter I. What does I mean in math? And I'm going to show it to you here. Okay, so learning attention is students are introduced to the complex numbers. I has to do with this idea of complex numbers. An essential question, how can we use complex numbers to solve problems that previously had no solutions? So this will be the first questions. What if we have no real solutions, okay? And to get you into this idea of what it means to have no real solution, what I'd like you to do is first, of course, have the learning intention, essential question, have your Cornell notes set up. And today will be really nice to finally understand what this means and how we could create this universe of C. Because the other universes we created, we have N, which is natural numbers, we have the integers, we have the rationals, we have the real number line, and we're finally going to find what this universe means. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is do this do now question, try and do it by yourself, and it's very straightforward. It just says solve each equation for x. So if you have x minus 1 equals 0, what does x equal? X plus 1 equals 0, what does x equal? X squared minus 1 equals 0, what does x equal? And x squared plus 1 equals 0, what does x equal? Okay, you can do this by yourself. All right. Now if you want to come here and see the solutions, if x minus 1 equals 0, right, simply just add 1, and x is equal to 1. Oh my god, that was so difficult. Okay, next one. If I have x plus 1 equals 0, how do you get x by itself? This is minus 1, and x is equal to minus 1. All right, even more difficult, right? These first two questions. And what about this one? This may be a little tricky, but here, x squared minus 1 equals 0. This is a difference of perfect squares. So here, remember that little technique? We could just take the square, we could factor this into x plus 1, x minus 1 equals 0. And then what can we do? We could do zero product property. And now we can say that x plus 1 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. So that means x is equal to negative 1 and x is equal to positive 1. Okay? So far, not too bad. But once we get to this question here, x squared plus 1 is equal to 0. Well, let's see. You can't factor this, right? Don't you remember if it's a plus, like when it has a minus, we could use difference of perfect squares. But remember, something like this is not factorable. Maybe that rings a bell, right? It's not factorable. So if we try and just solve this, like x squared plus 1 equals 0, if we do minus 1, what do you get? You get x squared is equal to minus 1. And then if you take the square root of both sides, you're saying x is equal to the square root of minus 1. But this number doesn't exist. You're not allowed to use x is equal to, you can't take the square root of minus 1. Like if I say, what's the square root of 4? This is 2. But the square root of negative 4, it's not negative 2, is it? Because what's negative 2 times negative 2? That's positive 4. It's not negative 4. So this idea of finding how to solve, you see this one, this has no solution. This has no solution. There is no real number. There is no real number that will give this to us. And when we talk about real number, remember, real number is anything on the number line, right? If I have 0, 1, 2, 3, no real number will give us a solution for this. So there's no solution. And the idea right now is how do we find what this is? And that has to do with this. Okie dokie. So that's the game plan today. All right. So the way we're going to do this, I'm going to show you how to create this universe, creating C. And the way we do this is